the government's coming in and say, hey, if your token has the underlying voting right, revenue sharing, all of things, should we consider it more like share, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means security.
Mm-hmm.
So that also, something I decided not to touch from day one, because as I said, we want to be a compliance-centric platform. So if that's the thing, that's the arguments and uncertainty, I rather don't touch it, because I want to make our user feel that this platform is doing something solid and predictable.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Weekly podcast, the show where we interview the top movers and shakers in the crypto industry. Today, I'm joined with Raymond Su, the co-founder and CEO of Cabital. Raymond, welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone. Nice to meet you guys, and glad to be here and share my personal experience with everyone and talk about Cabital.
Raymond, we're happy to have you. But before we talk about Cabital, let's talk a little bit about you and your background, how you journeyed into the crypto space.
Yeah, I have been working in the you can call traditional banking sector for quite a while. Always a product manager for traditional payment products in different geographic areas in Europe, Africa, and back to Asia, where I'm coming from. And I think after a few years, I'm lucky enough to participate in quite a few innovation projects we call the mobile payment in Africa, which really is an eye-opening experience to see how financial innovation can really bring the greatness to people and have a very positive impact on people's lives. I think that's the moments I realized I want to be part of this journey, and I believe there's a lot of things fintech can do. So after a while, I joined I think Airwallex. That's a cross-border payment company based in Shanghai, head their product team. So that's the moment I really start, combining the internet, combining the banking experience together, and to make some great stuff to happen, right? And then I think this crypto opportunity comes. Yeah, so I decided to just give it a try, because I believe, right? I think last year, when COVID happens, I think the government has no choice but keep printing the money. So the inflation is inevitable. So I believe that every single person should have, a chance to protect their asset value. And I think crypto is one of the options. So I want to make sure that we can build something for the people, and also, take all my learning the past few decades, I would say, yeah, and the great people I met before, and, have a great team to do some great things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And clearly you are doing some great things. I love what you said about, the social value of cryptocurrency and how it really opens up the financial system to everybody around the world. And I think it almost is serendipity how we've created this new emergent blockchain technology at the time in history when we need it the most. So I applaud your background, and I think what you're doing with Cabital is amazing. Let's chat about Cabital. So for those who aren't as close to the space, can you give a brief introduction of what you're doing with Cabital?
Yeah, we start from something very focused. We believe that right now, also crypto is moving so fast, but at the end of the day, you cannot deny it's part of the financial systems, and at some point of time, it will definitely merge with the traditional you can say regulatory framework or landscape, right? It will definitely happen. And I think the last few months, we definitely see that happening. So last year, when we started this journey, right, I firmly believe that compliance is something very important for the industry to make sure the greatness can keep going, right? So we want to make sure it's a very secure, very sensible, and very simplified crypto experience for everyone. And we start from wealth management because we think that's something relevant to the people at this moment. And also, I think we also see some improvement we can do to this sector. Although you can name some big platforms out there doing this business for a while, but I think there's still a lot of things we can do. And as I said, the most important things, right? We want to make sure we are 100% compliant, and so your users will feel comfortable to deal with a very legit platform. So I think that's where we start, and so far I think that's the plan. But we definitely have something else coming later to make sure our platform becomes more I would say agnostic to the other platform as well, to become, like a wallet to connect with them. I think that will come shortly in maybe Q4 or early Q1. You'll see that new product coming.
Yeah. Well, it's clear that compliance is foundational in your business model, especially given the stance the SEC has taken on other lending products in the market, especially the lawsuit against Coinbase Lend, and to see that the banks and the regulators have put their faith in you and put their trust in you, I think speaks volumes. Can I ask you what your opinion is on the Coinbase lawsuit, the SEC lawsuit against Coinbase Lend?
Yeah, so we do have a post on our blog, talking about this, and I think that because I know everyone really cares about it, and I think our position is very clear, right? We believe regulatory framework is something objective and should be applied to everyone, which means that even the government need to follow it, right? So according to the framework so far, I think the debate comes from that SEC consider this lending product is a certificate, meaning it's like a bond or something. So you need to have the security license, right? But on the other side, the lending platform like Coinbase Coinbase wants to do is considered more like a lending product, just like I'm lending you my crypto, and then with a agreed tenor, agreed return of amount of crypto, right? So I mean, both sides they have a point, but it has to go back to the regulatory framework, right? What's the law look like right now, and which one can fit into the existing framework best? And so, I mean, our opinion is very easy, right? Compliance meaning we go for what is accepted by the framework. Both sides can have an opinion, and we really look forward to see how they interpret it. But I think so far they both have a point. But I think SEC definitely need to explain a little bit why they deny to communicate before Coinbase launch, right? Because that's kind of it's a good faith, right? If Coinbase want to give you a heads up and talk about it, they don't need to come to this last minute surprise, right? And another thing is that there are quite many platforms out there, you can name it, are doing the same thing. Then why Coinbase, right? Coinbase is actually a listed company, is they try their best to be compliant. So you shouldn't punish the good student just for the sake of punishing it, right? That's what I feel most. Yeah, so I think SEC definitely need to explain that a little bit, so all the industry know how to interact with the regulator with a good intention. So I think that's where we stand, and I believe at the end of the day there will be a clear answer because there's a law, and someone can definitely explain that to the crowd.
Yeah, and I would agree as well. I would say especially in situations like this when it's such a large problem for the SEC to tackle, they'll obviously start coming in extremely heavy-handed and then eventually make compromises as they go. They want to keep that frame of reference as being extremely tough, and then eventually make compromises. But that's what we are here for in the crypto industry, and we need to ensure that we're continuing to lobby on behalf of open monetary systems like Bitcoin. Can I ask you, without getting off topic too much, given that it's topical, can we talk a little bit about the Evergrande news in China and the recent news of China's ban? Can I get your opinion on maybe both of those topics quickly?
Yeah, I think at Capital we don't do any Chinese clients, so for us there's not much impact, to be honest. And I think, but I will take the industry perspective more, because I think what happened in China is actually very similar to what happened in US right now, right? There's a huge debt, and the society has to take it. The same thing happening in US, right? Because US government's debt limit is going to reach the number not too far away, right? By 15 October. So I think the two biggest economies in the world, they all have the problem to keep things going, right? So that's what we're talking about here. And that also tells you why some smaller countries like Panama, like El Salvador, right, or Ukraine, why they embrace crypto, because they rely on those major currencies as their national reserve, right? So if they cannot really control the value of those reserve currencies, they have to find another way to hedge themselves. So I think what happened in US and in China, all telling us they need an alternative, which they feel more objective and fair to their smaller economy. Because I think there's a number quoted, I think the last 18 months, US print 37% more money. So that means our purchase power got diluted, right? And you have no choice. I mean, I also understand why US government has to do it, because if they don't do it, I think globally we will have a crash. So understandable. But on the other side, the other economies, they also need to find a way to better protect themselves. And I think that's where crypto, especially like BTC, right, is limited circulation. So it becomes a very good choice for them to consider how to, have, alternative options on their book. So I think what happened in China, Evergrande, or what happened in US about their debts, that all tells you one thing. There's no, and COVID is the catalyst, right? So they just expedite everything and make it worse. So immediately, if you cannot really find an option, or you cannot find the results positive, and you have to find alternative, that's very natural for the other people. So I think, if the government is doing that, you are not surprised that individuals also want to do something similar. So that's why I'm still very positive about the crypto future, because people need options. And they want to make sure they have options. So I think, as you say, that's why the crypto community is here and is around, right? If you can have 12% APY right now with us, why bother you want to earn 0 with your bank deposits?
Exactly.
So I think that's why people are thinking, right?
I think that's a fantastic summary. And what I would also say is, given that China and the United States are the two biggest economies in the world, they do not have the option of default. And so the only remaining option is to continue printing, which will continue to increase the value of cryptocurrencies. But you said something really great, 12% interest on capital, right, on your crypto holdings, which is from traditional standards unheard of. But in the crypto industry, that's a very good rate of return, and a stable rate of return. So what happens when we have these $200 trillion of negative yielding debt all around the world looking for a new place to go? It comes into crypto, and it will, in my opinion, flow into places like Cabital that can give you that safe, sustainable yield, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I think, maybe it's a chance for me to just quickly explain how it works, right? So people might be very curious, how come 12%? Because it sounds like, unreal.
Well, it sounds like a savings account in the 1940s, actually, right? When you used to be able to get 15% for just, putting your dollars in the bank, and then now it's just been.
I think you are totally right. That's very similar context, right? So although the fiat world right now, the economy, everything's very slowed down, and the money printing keeps going. That's why, the interest rate of most of the fiat is very low. But on the other side, you got a crypto economy. Crypto-based economy is booming. So when it's booming, people are willing to borrow the money and to do something they can arbitrage, they can make profits. I think that's the fundamental thing, right? Capital, we don't trade directly, meaning when we got the crypto from our users, we don't do spot or leverage trade. We don't do derivative at all, right? What we do is that we carefully select the DeFi with over collateralized, stuff there, and make sure that it's a lending platform, or is a more like farming liquidity provider type of, the pool. So stable and also sensible. And most important thing, right? We also, as a gatekeeper, to identify those projects that you got the third-party audits of the smart contract, right? You got a bigger value in the pool to make sure no one can manipulate the return. And also the most important thing, we try to understand the project, what's the underlying stuff, what's the team behind it, all these things. And we have a special investment team to go through all this research and get the committee approval internally before they really can conduct any investment decision. And we also use our own working capital to test to make sure whatever we assume makes sense at the end. Then we start using the client's money to invest. And what they do after is more about allocation across different options we have on our list, and make sure, right, they optimize the return, right? So that's why we call ourselves a sensible option rather than a crazy option. Because to be honest with you, you go up and down still, DeFi return as well, but it's not like two folds or 0% or -20, right? So it's going to be kind of stable comparing to if you go into the market directly to buy and sell. So that's why we keep, try to educate our users a little bit how we generate that yield and why it's much safer than the other option. Another thing I think is also very important for us to elaborate a little bit is that we don't have any precondition, meaning you don't need to buy platform token, right? Some platform, they will use the platform token as a way for you to buy, stake with them to exchange a better interest rate. We don't have that kind of precondition. What you see is what you get, because we believe if people come to you and go for a yield product, they're looking for something stable and sensible. And in the meantime, you're selling them a very small market cap platform token, which is very volatile, very fragile at some point of time. And that's kind of contradict. Yeah. So I think you should sell the right product to the right audience. So that's why from day one, we decided we're not going to do any ICO kind of thing, because it's so easy to make your first batch of money, right? Another thing is that ICO also getting very ambiguous right now when the government's coming in and say, hey, if your token has the underlying voting right, revenue sharing, all of things, should we consider it more like share, right? That means security. So that also, something I decided not to touch from day one, because as I said, we want to be a compliance-centric platform. So if that's the thing, that's the arguments and uncertainty, I rather don't touch it, because I want to make our user feel that this platform is doing something solid and predictable.
Yeah. And I think that's truly one of the most noble things about Cabital that I really appreciate is, as you say, you're taking the crazy out of crypto, right? You're making it easy and accessible for every traditional investor, every retail investor to start earning passive income from their crypto. And this is, this is a major turning point for the industry, because it brings in a flood of new participants into the market, right? And what we know is people will never move from one marketplace to another until the ease of use is at par or better than the traditional system. And so what we're doing now in crypto is we're providing simple alternatives to traditional banks like Cabital that provide higher yields than traditional banks. So it's a win-win for consumers. It's a win-win for the crypto industry, and it just keeps broadening our horizons. So I think, companies like Cabital are fundamental or foundational to bringing in that new user base into the crypto ecosystem. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think you just mentioned one thing very key is user experience, right? If they have to jump like several hoops to reach that point to earn that yield, I think people will lose their faith or confidence that it's actually a good product. So that's why we spend so much effort from day one to make sure we are compliant, because that's the only one we are able to offer the fiat capability to our user, meaning they can easily move their money over from their bank account to us, just like they are doing bank transfer from one account to another. So it has to be that easy. So I think when we have our Euro SEPA local payment capability live 2 weeks ago, and so that means our European users, as long as you have a Euro account in SEPA area, you can definitely make the bank transfer from your bank account to the Cabital wallet, and basically you top up your Euro. Immediately you can book a trade to buy USDT and place into our high yield saving right away. So it's very smooth and simple, just like what you have right now in your daily life. And I would say even better from time to time, because you are talking to comparing to some traditional bank transfer, they are not even that fast. But we are connecting to very API driven vendors to make sure that experience is very smooth. So hopefully they can feel that we are trying our very best to make sure at least on par or even better user experience for them to give it a try, right? Because if it's very difficult, people won't give it a try. You can just give it a try from $500 to $1,000, small amount of money, and see how it works for you, right? And I can guarantee the experience is very good. Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of the experience and what Cabital's doing, you guys have just come off a recent raise, right? And with some pretty high profile firms, venture capital firms. Can you talk a little bit about the raise and what you'll be doing with the funds?
Yeah, I think we are lucky enough to get the support from these 3 investors. I think you can find those in the public information, SIG and GSR and Dragonfly. And Dragonfly is very famous in the crypto or blockchain community. They're focusing on that. So not too surprised that we are able to to give them some attractive points to consider us, right? But for the other two, I think SIG and GSR, they are more from the traditional investment world. So I think it's such a I won't say honor is a bit heavy, but it's such a surprise. I would say they are willing to invest in a crypto company, right? A platform. I think at the end of the day, it's our compliance mindset, right? We take compliance to heart from day one. That mindset make them feel that okay, you guys are a little bit different from the other crypto companies out there, and they also want to see if a bunch of bankers, right, taking their compliance or the traditional banking experience into crypto world and combine these two together, what will happen? I think that's a new angle they want to give it a try, and they also feel more comfortable. So yeah, so I think we got very, again, very thankful that they give us a chance. And also, I think that also tells, the market that why we are a little bit different from the others. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what are you, first of all, how large was the raise, and what are you planning to do with the capital? How are you expanding?
Yeah. In the seed round, we raised $4 million US dollars. Yeah. So from 3 investors. And I think that the most of the money will be used for several things. First, of course, the hiring, right? So we need to make sure we got enough product person, engineers to keep build this product to much better level. And other things that licensing as well. We although we're small, but from day one we know how to incorporate in the right jurisdiction. What's the right go-to-market strategy? Whether it requires registration or it's licensing. All the things we try to make sure at the end of the day we can connect to the local payments, fiat capability in each market to make us fiat agnostic at the end for all the users in most of the countries. So I think that's where we're going to spend most of our resources. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, clearly a bright future ahead. I think your focus on compliance and making sure that you're kind of doing everything from the book from a regulatory perspective ensures that you'll have staying power and ensures that you're going to continue to grow your reach. If people want to try out Cabital, if people want to learn more about the product, how would they do so?
Yeah, I think firstly, of course, our website, right? I think we keep producing nice content. Our content team, they take several angles to make sure we keep producing some information for users to understand us more, to understand industry more, and also we on an ad hoc basis, we have like opinions on different events, like the Coinbase thing you just mentioned. There's also a blog, about this topic. So I think that's the best place. And also we use linking very often, since linking is where we want to connect with different industry people, professional people. I think that those two are the most relevant sources. Twitter as well, but I think we try to also beef up a little bit more about social media. So I would suggest that these 3 are the most convenient way for people to know what happens on us and what's our opinion on the market events, and also most important thing, whether we got new product and new feature coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And for reference, the website is cabital.com. They do have a great blog, and I've been reading through some of your blog pieces. Very good opinions on the industry and just some good top stories on what's happening. So Raymond, thank you so much for the time. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but really appreciate you coming on, sharing a little bit about yourself and about Cabital. And I look forward to seeing where you guys are going in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much.